Okay. Here we are again. For the final time with this game and with this trilogy. Because we are not doing the sequels. You can't make me. So, we will get started in just a couple of minutes. Okay, I'll just leave that right there. I feel like it's going to be much ado about nothing because considering how fast-paced the battle system is in this game, the 3 battles that consist of the final boss fight are going to be like, okay, well, here we are, and it's over. That's not true. The cutscenes in between each fight will take a while, but, you know, that's about... Like, it'll take longer to get through the cutscenes than it'll take to get through the actual fights, you know. So, hell, probably the cutscenes between the second and third phase will take longer than the fights combined. I think each fight is like I think the first one's like a minute and a half. The second one's like 2.5 minutes, and the third one's like a minute and a half. Not really surprising though. Like we have 2 characters in the party that have almost 2,000 strength, and the one that's our magic user has almost 1,700. Like, is that terribly shocking to anyone? Because I don't think it's terribly shocking to me. But we'll see. Okay, so we know the drill. Bartandalus wants us to come all the way in to the throne room because that is where Orphan's Cradle is. So, Bartandalus, I suppose it's time for your final interview. Is what I would say if I didn't realize in between streams that there's something I actually forgot to show that I actually would like to show before we finish this out. So despite the fact that I got all my paradigms set up and ready to go for the final fight already, we're going to take a quick detour, and it'll give me a chance to talk about a potential grind spot that you could use in the post-game as well, because I don't know how effective it is compared to the other ones I've shown, but it might be pretty effective, and I mean, you'll have a lot of, like, a big string of battles that you can use in it to get a bunch of goodies, so it might be effective. Anyway, how you doing, everybody? Welcome to the finale of Final Fantasy XIII, the stream edition. I still can't get over the fact that Saz has that portrait with that HP number. Last time, we beat our way through the entirety of Orphan's Cradle, through the Tesseracts, in order to get to the Narthex, which is Bartandalus's office space that he has here. And today, like I said, before we go confront the big man himself, like I was planning on doing at the beginning, I had all my paradigms set up like this. Hopefully I remember what they all are, because, well, this paradigm setup works for the first 2 phases of the final boss fight. Doesn't really work terribly well for the 3rd phase, but I'll talk about the 3rd phase's bullshit later. But since there's something I forgot to show, I realized off-screen, I think it's just Lightning and Hope that I didn't do this with, but I've basically been not showing all of the personal skills that everybody has, like Army of One, Sovereign Fist, Last Resort, Cold Blood, High Wind, and Death. We've seen High Wind last episode, we've seen Death the past couple episodes, and Cold Blood, same thing. I might have used Sovereign Fist exactly once, but because I don't remember, I'm actually going to backtrack out of here and have all 3 of these characters use their personal skills in the fights that we get into. And in the process of doing so, we'll see if we can show off one last potential little spot that you can use to get a bunch of CP in the post-game if you need it. So, excuse me. We'll see how it goes. In the meantime, let's do this. Just get that tried and true paradigm deck that we've used for a while now all set up. And then head on out of here. Well, before we head on out of here, actually, I'm going to purchase a couple of Deceptisol, because the sacrifices that are outside of here no longer respawn as easily as they did, but you can still kind of respawn them with this method, which I guess is a little bit nice, I suppose. So 2 of these just so we can guarantee a preemptive strike on them. We only need 3 Libra scopes, so I'm actually going to sell one, I think. Just because we won't need any more after that. And yep, we're good. We got 13 components in our bag. That's about all I need. 30,000 gil. Not really anything I care about at this point because we're not going to be spending gil at all after this. Hell, by the time we're done with showing off the personal skills, we might actually get a little gil back because we might get Scarletite and Perfume from all the sacrifices we're going to see. But yeah, if you backtrack, you can go back to the entrance of Orphan's Cradle, which is now mostly blocked off because you can't get to the rest of the Tesseracts. You can only get to the central platform right here with the save point, because the rest of them got moved further along in the dungeon in order to move you closer to the Narthex. They're all the way over there, if they're anywhere. So yeah, you can't go any further in the dungeon out here anymore. So anything that you saw outside of this central platform, all of the Velocycles, the Thresher, the Dagonites, all that stuff, you can't access them anymore once you beat the Tiamat Eliminator. So make sure you got them for your bestiary beforehand, otherwise you will not be able to get them ever again, and you'll have to load an earlier save file in order to do so. What I'm thinking is we just show Lightnings first and then Hopes, and then after we do both of those, we'll do Snows. But in the process of showing Snows, I'll show you where I go to quote-unquote respawn these guys, or where I could go to respawn these guys if that was something I wanted to do. So let's do this. I probably could have gotten a pretty easy preemptive here without the Deceptisol, but I've got the money to spare, so I don't really care. I'm just going to use it for this, and we'll get rid of a few of them. And once we get rid of a few of them, then we'll be good. Alright, let's go Aggression, throw some Ruin Goes around and hope for the best. And then I'll switch again in a second. I think I'll switch now, actually. And then let's charge up an Army of One! I'd be doing more damage if I switched to Aggression here, just the same as I did with Cold Blood, so do it again. Why not? It'll keep the stagger bar on the screen, so that's pretty nice. So yeah, see the 99,999 that I got there. Actually, I might have been the 71,000 in there. Snow might have been the 99,000 because he got another Scourge off. So I suppose that's another potential use for the personal skills, is use them to, whatchamacallit, like, manipulate the stagger bar at the end so that you keep using Scourge or Smite or something like that, you know. So I suppose you could use it for that, if you so choose. Alright, so that's one group. Hope, you've got the AoE personal skill, so you can do the other group, although I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to set this to Calm, just because that way I can get a whole bunch of extra damage out of it if I switch to Cerberus, and yeah, then we can go from there. So, Lightning, I'll take those sprint shoes now. Please, thank you. You can have this Aurora Scarf. You can have the sprint shoes, and then we'll use our last Deceptisol. Shouldn't need it for Snows, because if we go back to where I want to go, it's like we're fighting these sacrifices one at a time in the other area, so it shouldn't be a huge deal for me to get everything done. So, alright, and then I'm just going to go straight for Last Resort. And then just go straight to Cerberus. It should stagger everything. Oh, okay, never mind. Didn't stagger that guy. It did stagger this guy. I figured it would stagger him because I switched, but maybe because I switched too quickly, it became problematic. I don't know. Let's go back to Relentless Assault so we can work them over a little more. I'll do a Blizzaga, I guess, on this guy. Oh, he's not staggered available, and neither is this guy, right? Yeah, okay. So I'll just do one of these on this guy. I think I switched too early again, but I don't know exactly what the switch timing is for Hope's stuff, but actually go Combat Clinic since we're getting spammed by death. So. And then go back. Alright, but you get the point, basically. It's good for AoE. That's a lot of death going out. Hope we can handle it. Yeah, I'm just going to let you guys finish this guy off, and then we'll go to, what is it, Assassination, I think it is, to finish off the other guy. Alright, off we go. See what we can get on him. Everything, basically, the nuts. And then Last Resort again. And those of you who have played Final Fantasy X before will probably notice the holy that we just used effectively. So. And it should build the gauge pretty rapidly while being used, but I guess it gives you a cool filter for your screen if you just, you know, don't need to use it. I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of Last Resort. I don't really feel like it does enough damage to warrant using it, you know. So, I mean, because it's mostly because it's spread out across multiple enemies rather than a single one, like Army of One and Cold Blood are. That's just not really my cup of tea, I guess. Alright, so let's give Snow the Sprint Shoes. We will give Hope back his Aurora Scarf. And then, let's go get these two guys respawned here. And it's not a fast method, like I said previously. Normally you just go up a ramp or down the ramp over to the bottom left there and then come back and they're respawned and there's 7 more for you to fight. But when you're at this point, at this stage, you can't respawn them as easily. So instead, we're going to warp all the way back to Edenhall. I said Leviathan Plaza, by the way, would be where you'd come out here. That's not actually true. So, as you'll see in a moment, we will end up teleporting to a slightly different location. We will teleport to the entrance to Edenhall, which is the final doorway where we ended up after we beat the Proudclad the second time. Although, speaking of the Proudclad, you'd think he'd be back out here and, you know, there'd just be whatever's left of his machine after he blew himself off. But it turns out Rosh's grenade that he used to take those Behemoth Kings out was probably an X-Zone grenade, because he sent himself to the void. There ain't a goddamn thing left of him or his robot. And nobody says anything about it. I mean, obviously, because, like, if they did, that would imply that you weren't doing this after the game was already over. But, yeah, no, Rosh is gone. I have no idea where him or the Proudclad went, but you'd think there'd at least be a little bit of debris or something. I don't know, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, let's see if we can show Sovereign Fist off, and that will be it. I mean, I could use it now, but just get a couple of debuffs on this guy. I'm just going to try and get Pain and Fog, and then I'll just load it up after that. Okay, Pain and Fog are up, so now just load up Sovereign Fist, let them stagger him, and go! Bye. So my thought process for the other grinding method, right, is to take out the sacrifices that are inside of the Tesseracts there. Then warp out here to Edenhall, because when you warp out here, you'll respawn the enemies inside of the Tesseracts. You clear out this entire hallway, and if you want to be really gung-ho, you go, well, all the way up through here, all the way back down here. I don't actually know if you can get through there to get back to Leviathan Plaza, but if you can, you could take out the Adamantoise that's over there, then save at that save point, and then reload the game. Then start from that save point, kill the Adamantoise, go all the way back through here, kill all the enemies along the way, come back to Edenhall, warp into the Tesseracts, and then kill the 2 sacrifices, save your game on their platform, and then save, and then quit and reload. Then everything respawns, and just do that over and over again, and get quite a large chunk of CP out of it, especially if you have the growth egg. There are a lot of fights along the way there, But I still think it would be a pretty effective method of getting CP to grind it out. So I guess we could find out. Excuse me, Lightning, because I could just buy like a Deceptisol or two to see if you can leave. Actually, I don't think I can afford 2 Deceptisol at this point. We are dirt broke, but that's okay. We got a couple of drops, so I might be able to do a little bit with it. We'll see. Well, we got enough to afford another Deceptisol, so 2 it is. There we go. I have 2,600 gil. I haven't had this much since the very beginning of the game, basically. Alright, so let's go see. Oh, look, they respawn. That's cool. So you just go inside of there, and it respawns this entire hallway. That's not bad. So I guess you don't even have to go back into the Tesseracts. You could just do this whole hallway. Alright, so I'm going to use the Deceptisol to see how far... I just want to try to get to that door over there to see if we can go back through it. I don't think this Deceptisol will last the entire way through, but I'll do the best I can with it. And if we have to, we'll just kind of skirt around people. We'll retry if we have to as well. Are you guys going to let me pass? Nope. Okay. Well, I don't want to do this anymore, so after we preemptive this, we will just retry. I want to know if the door is openable over there, but I don't want to know that badly, if that makes sense. Oh, okay. Hey, fellas, how you doing? Let's get the hell out of here. But yeah, if that door opens over there and you can go kill the Adamantoise that's in Leviathan Plaza, that would make this a pretty effective method of getting a little bit of stuff together for CP and some money, because the Scarlet Titan perfume drops that you can get are probably pretty hefty. So, no, I keep my Deceptisol, right? Yeah, okay. So I guess we'll just sell that back off, even though I just purchased it, because why not? It's not like I have any use for money anymore anyway. Like, if I was playing the post game, that would be an unfortunate circumstance, but no, I don't think we need to worry about that. Also, I mentioned last time that there are some status effects that can be inflicted on you in the final boss fight here. It's actually the main ones that you have to watch out for are Pain and Fog. So if you want to sell anything else, you can do that. So I'm just going to sell most of my stuff except the painkillers and the mallets. I don't even think we need the foul liquid, so I'm just going to get rid of that. We don't need the wax. We really don't ever need the wax, because if we get imperiled, we can just use a bar skill, and that basically cancels it out. But that's implying that I actually have access to a bar skill at any given time, which sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. So either way, yeah, that's it. Got 5,000 gil to throw around. Not a whole lot, but that's okay. We won't need it where we're going. Where we're going, I don't need Zeninage. I'm about to throw hands instead. Well, I'm about to throw bullets, actually, with my guns, because Saz is going to be the party leader for the final boss fight, but that's the point. So, yeah, like, I mean, that doesn't seem like a terrible method to me. It's more kinetic, probably, than doing the same mission over and over and over again. I would imagine doing the same mission again and again would get pretty boring. So if you kind of, I mean, I guess it's the same hallway over and over again, but it's like a long stretch that you're going through both ways. So it's a little less boring, at least in my opinion. I haven't done it, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other if it is less boring, but I would imagine it is. So, all right, now it's time for Bartandalis' final interview. Well, let's get back into the Narthex, because our appointment is coming up, and we do not want to end up at the back of the line. Alright, so now we just got to get the other party back in here. Let's give everybody back their proper equipment. So you take that off, you take that off. I guess I'm switching around who gets which Aurora scarf, but what do I care, right? Alright, so that takes care of that. Switch the paddle team around. Bring in the boss killing party. And then set ourselves back up again. It was ComCom Rav at the top. RavCom Rav goes there. This is Salvation. This is Tortoise. I tried to include mostly level 4 roles in this set of paradigms for the final boss. The only exception, of course, is Vanille for Synergist, because that just helps with getting Veil and Vigilance up, which are pretty important for multiple fights here, multiple sections of the fight. and Tortoise and Salvation. We've only got one level 4 in both of those, but they're both pretty good at letting you tank some of the harder hits in this entire gauntlet here. And then Rav Sab Sab, and we should be good to go, because the final boss is in fact vulnerable to status effects. As we established in the previous Bartandalus fight, he didn't get his booster shot because he really wants to die, so he'll be able to, because we're going to status the hell out of him. I'm going to start in Tortoise, though. Normally I'd start in like Relentless Assault and then switch, but there's a very specific reason why you want to start in Tortoise. It just makes it a little easier for you to predict a few things in the later fight. And worst comes to worst, there's actually a very real chance that we'll need to hit the retry button on Phase 2 and Phase 3 of this boss fight if we get unlucky. If we do, I won't need to change this Paradigm deck at all for Phase 2, but for Phase 3, if we have to retry, I'm just going to get rid of these defensive ones, because Phase 3, you need to be quick to the point of which you literally can't afford to do anything defensive. You just have to attack and hope for the best, but we'll talk about that if we get hit with some bullshit. I'd also recommend using the Seraph's Crown that I bothered to make in order to have death resistance on your party leader. So, excuse me, that way the second phase of the final boss can inflict instant death on you, but I'm just going to kind of go gung-ho and balls to the wall with it, because I do not want to give up the joke of Saz having 6,900 HP with the rail guns and the Vertsight Bangle that we worked so hard on. And we need both physical and magical resistance for this fight because both happen. So I'm just going to leave the joke, and if we get killed by an instant death move, then I guess funny meme for the end of the game, I suppose. Oh yeah, there's one last thing I want to do before we go, because now that I don't need to worry about the AI doing silly stuff, we need to buy a couple of skills, because if you remember, there were 2 skills for Fang and 1 skill for Lightning that I did not bother to get. In Fang's case, it was because it gave her a niche as a Sentinel by comparison to Snow. And in Lightning's case, I just didn't want the AI using... well, actually, it has nothing to do with the AI. I just wanted to make sure she had Fire Blizzard, Thunder, Water, Arrow on the left side of the screen so I didn't have to look for them when we got Thundaga. So we're going to buy Thundaga for her in just a moment, but before that, we need to buy Entrench and Vendetta for Fang, just so that way we have all of the nodes filled out for stages 1 through 9 in their primaries, and then whatever little bit I bought for their secondaries, and that'll be it. Once we do this, we can save, and then we'll go confront the final boss. And then obviously once we beat the final boss, stage 10 will open up, so then we won't be completely filled out with our Crystariums anymore, but yeah, I'm not really too worried about stage 10. It's just kind of one of those things. It's like, and I could keep playing, but do I want to? No, not really. We did enough. We did over half the missions. There's only 29 of them left, and I think at least 2/3 of them are in the Fault Warrants, so... I'm not really concerned about that. We could get tier 3 weapons, but we don't really need them. But yeah, this is what the final setup looks like for everybody. Excuse me. And then Crystarium, like I said, primary roles, stages 1 through 9, all maxed out. Some secondary development to help out with some silly grinding methods, and that's about it. Paradigm deck looks like this. Like I said, we'll switch this around if we need to. If we hit a roadblock in the 3rd phase, because the 3rd phase is kind of bullshit, but either way, only one way to find out if we hit a roadblock or not. Let's do this. Well, let me save first, and then let's do this. And I'm also going to save over this save file, because this save file still has the grinding method with the sacrifices intact. So if you're going to keep any of your save files separate, you should keep the one where you can do the sacrifice grind without having to go to Eden Hall to respawn them, because it's just a little faster. So I'm just going to save over this one, even though we just... You know what? I'm going to make a new save. Why not? I can afford it. It's fine. I've got plenty of space. These save files only cost, like, yeah, 450 KB anyway. It's fine. Hey, Marie, how you doing? Welcome back. Yeah, can't miss the finale. We are just about ready to go. I realized at the beginning of the stream that I did not show off Lightning's or Hope's personal skills, and I forgot if I showed off snows, so I said, okay, I'll take some time at the beginning of the stream and I'll just go show them off, and then I reset the party so we'd be ready for the final boss, and here we are. Could do the rest of the missions. What would that do besides give you incentive to fight the super boss? Yeah. And I don't really feel like fighting the super boss. There's plenty of videos on him, done at varying degrees of challenge level. I'm sure there's at least one video out there where somebody beat him at the stages that I'm at currently in the Crystarium, so I don't really feel like I need to add to that any more than it's already done. People have done it. Go watch them if you want to watch the other missions. I don't really feel like it's necessary. I've done what I wanted to, so that's enough. Oh, hey, Lightning. Saz is supposed to take the lead here.
Let's do this.
You, Snow, and Hope tuckered yourselves out using personal skills just a minute ago. Okay, and believe it or not, they actually give you control back after you open this door for some reason, even though all you have to do is walk 5 feet and then you're in the final boss fight. So because they did that, I did not want to use my Fortisol and Aegisol until after we got control. So now we'll use our last one of both, and then that'll be it. Yeah, that's a doorway of some variety. It's not the first time we've seen that type of doorway. We saw a few in Chapter 12, but it will certainly be the last. Because here we go. What, no Ocean's 11 style slow motion as I walk into the final boss fight?
Ready?
Yeah. Ready.
Let's go confront Machine God and tell him to heck right off. This throne is empty. This throne is supposed to be full. Anyone care to explain? I mean, I don't expect any of you guys to have the answers.
Moment of truth, hero.
Just have to clinch it out right at the end.
Little lights, just like in Eva.
And in Leviathan Plaza.
Life's spark shines on, once freed from its fleshly shroud.
You gonna make me fight the crystals of fire and earth too? No, apparently not. Didn't have enough hostages for all 4 crystals. Nihilist Bird Jesus! Wait, wrong game. Never mind.
Dreams, meanwhile, shatter in a flash.
Dodge! No!
If I can't be your teenage dream, Snow, no one can! Ow.
Think. Where's the real Sarah?
Was the real Sarah the friends we made along the way? No, she's right there. She's still alive.
Hey, listen. It isn't real. It's just foul sea smoke and mirrors.
Chickabo says, stop bullshitting me.
Wonders.
And this time I'll let him swear. Well, Snow's unsteady on his feet, so I guess it's good I didn't bring him into the final boss fight.
At last, my errant Lassie. Men fight men. Men battle beasts. Cocoon wars with pulse. There can be no end to such conflict.
You done postponing it after the War of Transgression?
Cocoon's end is imminent and inevitable. Will you not at least slay Orphan and make it quick, as an act of mercy?
Mercy? You mean murder. And Cocoon won't die. We're not here for that. We came for you.
Time to face the music, Grandpa.
Such willful insolence. Disappointing.
Okay, props to the mocap people there. The disappointment on his face was palpable.
Suffering. And to what end? Refusing me but condemns another to face your focus tomorrow. If you truly seek salvation, you will obey.
People seek salvation to release themselves from their shackles, Bartandalus, but for the first time in a long time, I am a free man. I picked the wrong paradigm right at the beginning. No, that's okay. Straight off to this. We have all of our buffs already, so we don't need all for one. All we need is to have Saz use some magic, because I want him to stick close to Bartandalus, for the same reason as previously. I basically want him to be close so that Blitz does the most damage. Don't really need anything on this fight other than deprotect, de-shell, and imperil, though. I think that's about all we'll need to do, and then we can just go from there. Then load up a Cold Blood. And off we'll go. Well, that's not good. Ultima, so we'll switch to Tortoise while he's doing it, and then go back to this. Actually, probably don't need that. I'm just going to go straight to Aggression. Might be a mistake, but I think he'll be dead anyway, no matter what. He's pretty close, so we'll just load up our 2 blitzes, and then off we'll go. Yeah, he'll be gone in a second. Just get both those blitzes off, and I don't even care about all those lasers, Bartandalus. You can eat it. This is a cool room for all of 3 minutes. Couldn't imagine spending extended amounts of time in a place like this. That was the disappointed parent face. Yeah, it's like I said, they did a good job mocapping that because like you could see it. He was just like, how many times do I have to tell you guys to do this shit? Am I wasting my breath at this point? I also love the little lip parse that he does in there too, where he's just like he inhales sharply through his nose and he parses like he sticks his lips together. Like, you didn't have to add those little details, you know what I mean? But it makes it look more realistic, and I approve. Anyway, that's phase 1. I know you can do better than that, Bartandalus. Come on, show me what you got. Oh, okay. Never mind. I think we hit him too hard. He's actually dying this time.
Hey, put a lid on it.
Don't need to hear you finishing in the bathroom, Grandpa.
Release. At last, release.
It's done.
Are you sure? Because maybe he's just waiting for us to let our guard down? I don't know, it doesn't feel well done to me.
We did it, huh? Yep.
Feels a little more like medium rare.
It's that bird again.
I don't think you should put the bird in the bathwater, guys, because when you do that, you'll probably end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Yet it must fall ere we be saved. Too frail a shell and humans should not thrive.
Oh my god! I hit him so hard he turned 2.5D!
Two irreconcilable focuses we bore.
He really is Megatron now.
We in a cocoon prison, impervious to our power. And so we thank you for granting us our longed-for birth.
Nicely. No, not anymore.
He drank too much of the Kool-Aid, Snow. Let me tell you one thing I know for sure, big guy. There ain't no redeeming you. Alright, so this is why we start in Tortoise, because I will have just enough time to throw a Libroscope before... Wait for it. Nice wave, Vanille. So he starts every fight with Merciless Judgment. It hurts! We want to minimize that damage as much as possible, so that's why we need 3 Sentinels. Then switch to Salvation to heal it off. Turns out, with 3 medics, a potion heals for about as much as a cura that Saz would do at this point, so I used it too slowly. If I had used the potion a little faster there, I could have actually tanked right through that without staggering. But about 3 potions, and then we should be good. Get Bravery and Haste up. Let Vanille get Veil and Vigilance. We'll get Bravery and Haste on Fang. Faith and Haste on Vanille. I'll get Protected Shell up as well. And then we can start blasting them. You can get a total of 6 debuffs up on this guy, if I remember correctly. So we're going to try to get all 6. It makes it a little easier to micromanage the fight. So we'll get there. And then do that again. I'll probably use Renew in a minute once we start getting down a little further. So, but I'm not worried about that just yet. Just get that going. But yeah, D-Protect, D-Shell, Imperil, Slow, and Curse all work. Poison also works on him, which is kind of strange, but I'll take it. A little extra damage we can do. Passively. You're going to have to slowly build the gauge up, though, because he's a little resistant to most of our statuses, so... It's okay, though. We can slowly build him up. I'll use Renew in a second. Alright, we got Poison on him. Good. He has so much HP that it ticks him down on HP pretty damn good, actually. So... Alright, yeah, get Curse on him, Fang, and then we can go from there. I might Renew now, actually. Yeah, I'm going to Renew now. Then switch up, Relentless Assault, finish this up. Finish up the Stagger, that is. And then I'll Cold Blood and we'll switch to Aggression so I can start blitzing him. I'll wait for it. I'll let Vanille finish the Stagger, and then off we go. Good lord, that did over 4k with Tortoise. Yeah, without any Sentinels in your party, it deals 99% of your HP and damage. So, oh, Vanille got hit by Progenitorial Wrath. That's unfortunate. Now, I'm not really too worried about it. Oh, wait, hang on. We gotta switch to Tortoise now. Now. Because in a second... Hold off. I gotta wait for the poison to tick down a little bit. Is it now? It's gotta be soon, anyway. Yeah, there he goes. After he hits a certain threshold, usually it's like the 5th debuff from the right, he'll use Merciless Judgment again. After it ticks to like halfway into that, he'll use it again. So you want to switch to Tortoise around that time so that way you can just tank through that. Don't really need a whole ton of stuff here. I mean, I probably should rebuff Vanille a whole bunch, so let's see if we can just give her a couple of things. She'll give herself Veil and Vigilance, so I'll just give her Protect and Shell and stuff, and then it should be okay. I'm going to have to rebuff myself, too, actually. Gives Fang her stuff back so she keeps all her buffs before they run out. And then he's already got a whole bunch of debuffs on him, so I think we're just going to go back to Relentless Assault. Des E-Ray, huh? Okay. Oh, that hurt a little bit. Let's do another Renew. Oh, he got rid of some of our buffs as well. Well, that's unfortunate, but he should be dead soon enough anyway, so it doesn't matter. We'll be fine without him. We've got Haste on most people, Bravery on the ones that, you know, need it. And that should be good enough. I might actually switch to Flame Strike and Spark Strike instead, now that I think about it. It might be a little better, because we've got Bravery still up, so we might as well, you know. Should be able to clutch this out without having to do any more healing, I think. Okay, it's close now, so I'm just going to Cold Blood real quick. Ooh, that was a little close, Saz. 290, but we're there. Nice. Cut that one a little close, but it's okay. We're all good. We made it. He didn't collapse yet, but he can do that after the fight's over. Oh, I say that. But I know what's about to happen. It can't be done. Oh, love that line. Too stout a shell, and they would not die. Yeah, his whole speech there is pretty good. Although it's mostly him just being like, well, we weren't born human, so fuck me, I want to die, I guess. And it's like, I mean, okay, but that doesn't seem very parenty of you. Okay, before we move along here, I have to give a trigger warning because the next cutscene features two of our characters being tortured multiple times, so if you're not cool with that, you should probably leave for the next 10 minutes. For the rest of you, how you doing? Welcome. My name is Monochromium, and this is how to undermine every single bit of tension that your final section of the game built up. Are you ready to watch them lose all the goodwill that they've built in the final dungeon? Are you sure you're ready? I don't know if I'm ready, and I'm the one sitting in front of the screen. Here we go. So, this isn't unexpected, right? Like, it's the final boss. Of course he will have another form. Of course us fighting him there won't do too much damage. Honestly, I feel like if they wanted to do this, though, they should have done it as a supposed-to-lose fight. Like, you just end up dying because he just deals too much, damage too quickly to you. But instead of that...
Have you ever paused to consider our reason for making the sea of men?
You parse through almost 6 million HP, and then he just says, nope, fuck you.
Purpose, and granted finite power to that end. With men, it is not so. Men dream, aspire, and through indomitable force of will achieve the impossible. Your power is beyond measure.
So is yours. You just
Take
don't
the sea,
appreciate
and
it.
you might wield such strength.
You take it for granted and then use us when you can't do something.
We obtained freedom from our bondage.
That's a hell of a loophole, makers.
And now, your focus alone remains. Defy it, and all will fade from naught. Cocoon's sacrifice, and that of Grandpa's as well. Yet, if we but summon the Maker, we will be granted the chance to begin again.
How do you know this?
Sins absolved, and the world born anew.
What makes you think that Etro won't come directly back through that gate and be like, Bartandalus,
Lead us into the light.
I'm so fucking disappointed in you. I'm just gonna leave you here with your dreams unfulfilled and then go back.
I'll do it. I'll destroy you.
Okay, but why though? We just did 6 million damage to him and he didn't die. What are you gonna do?
The will to guide a world unto oblivion.
Can you bear?
The sin of our salvation.
She couldn't 400 years ago.
I said I'll do it.
Isn't this definition of insanity? And also, why is Fang doing
Forget
this?
our promise. We promised to save Cocoon. We promised.
I made another promise too. To protect my family.
So in order to protect my family, I'm going to kill my family. Doesn't really make much sense, Fang.
Fang?
Sometimes you gotta choose.
Choose what? By killing her, you're not protecting your family.
You too, huh?
What do you gain from hurting Vanille? We're in this together.
Oh, right. You get to have an 11th hour character betrayal thing so that they can add tension to a scene that wouldn't have had tension otherwise. Or maybe Matomu Toriyama just really wanted Fang to grow a tail. I don't fucking know. Like, I'm just trying to understand the purpose, right? Like, what do we as players gain by the characters doing stupid shit like this in cutscenes to each other? What do I gain
Why?
from entertainment value of the game by watching Fang turn my entire party into Seath and undermine all of the effort that we just went through for the past 8 hours? What do I gain?
Went through.
What's the point? I don't see it. Like, the only thing I can see this being is Matomu Toriyama deciding it's okay to torture two of his female characters.
Are they my sin to bear for choosing salvation?
Why would you didn't make that choice, Fang. It's so out of character for you. It doesn't make sense. Like, it literally makes no sense for you to be the one to choose this. None of our characters would choose this after the camaraderie that we had. So what's the point? Well, I'll tell you the point. The point is Ragnarok.
Salvation is born of sacrifice, miracles of misery. From shattered shards, a new crystal legend will arise.
What makes you think she can do that? She tried 400 years ago.
Yes,
No.
let anger be your strength.
It's not gonna work. Like, okay, listen. When she did this 400 years ago, she was so strong that she quite literally shattered the outer shell of Cocoon. If she is standing on Edenhall and the world is not exploding at her feet, then she is weaker than she was 400 years ago. Which means all this postulating that you're doing about, oh, the day of wrath is upon us, is bullshit. You're kidding yourself. It's not gonna work. I think the point of these little flashes here is supposed to be them saying, but what about all of the time that we spent together building friendships with the party? But, like, there's no camaraderie in these scenes. Lightning is punching the shit out of Snow. Is that friendship? Is that camaraderie? You're flashing back to the point where we were all at each other's throats.
Anger didn't drive us. We just had things worth fighting for.
Yeah, Fang. So, what's this all about? You threw away the thing you were fighting for because they said that they needed tension in the 11th hour.
How many times must you fail?
How many times must you expect her to win? She can't succeed. She's not strong enough. She's weaker than she was the last time. And now we have to watch this.
Let me go.
Retake the form of Ragnarok. Deliver us that which we have too long been denied.
You think I can just do that on demand? I need a little bit of time before I do that again. I can't just pop off every time you need me to.
What do you want?
Death. And if it wasn't for the fact that they wanted this stupid cutscene to be in the game, we could have given him death.
Fuse your soul with the strength it craves.
I don't think you understand how souls work.
Your awakening demands an offering of pain.
Vanille. Run.
No! I swore I wouldn't run away anymore. I'd rather fight and lose than give up without even trying.
And as if to completely undermine Vanille's potential heroic stand at the end that would bring our entire party back from the brink of death, the final boss was just murdered by cutscene fireballs.
You've got to be kidding me. Yeah, Fang. Who'd be dumb enough to swallow that crock?
Not Fang, that's for fucking sure. They just undermined her goddamn character.
You're alive!
But you can't be.
Could be more Fal'Cie smoke and mirrors.
We could all be figments of your imagination.
Fang, I'm sorry.
We made you go it alone.
No, we fucking didn't. We were all in the same room. She just decided, because they needed tension in the 11th hour, to say, fuck all of you guys. I'm going to decide to follow the advice of a giant sword man.
Where are you?
Somewhere cold and dark. Just thinking about everything that happened up until now.
Think about all the times that we undermined each other, instead of all the times we were being friends, because those only happened on Pulse, and the cutscene quality took a noticeable dip in Chapter 11.
Laughing. Even Sarah. Even Light.
Now you know it was a weird place, because Lightning was laughing.
Thinking didn't really make sense, of course. I mean, knowing we were worm bait and all. But as luck would have it, next thing I know, I feel somebody pushing me right along.
Chicobo says we're not done yet.
Same side. All of us.
Why are we having this conversation?
To the end.
We knew this already. We came in here already with this in mind. You want to know how I know? Here. Photographic evidence. This cutscene happened in Chapter 11. 20 hours ago. Okay, maybe not that long ago, but that's even worse then, because that means in the interim time, this speech that Fang gave to Vanille to reassure her.
You're not alone anymore. We have a new family now. We stick together. You hear me?
What did she do? Forget?
Yes, I promise.
This is why it's not in character for Fang to do that. Why would you do that?
Promised, didn't we?
She isn't the type to forget that shit. She's the older sister of the two. By the way, the final boss is actually dead. They actually killed him with cutscene fireballs rather than the 6 million HP we shaved off in an actual fight. This cutscene pisses me off so fucking much it almost undermines the entirety of the video game for me. I swear to God.
The symbol of the focus we all face.
Yeah, it's just so they can play the main theme again.
The
Yeah,
mark
pretty
of the
much.
fate we all shared.
But it's just like,
Proof of the promise.
you could have played this cutscene before the second phase, and it would have been fine, because then we could have killed him in the second phase, and then this could have happened.
Heroes never die.
And then stupid lines like that wouldn't piss me off.
We've got a world to save.
If we have the power to destroy Cocoon, then we have the power to save it.
We still don't know how we're gonna
You say
do
you want
that,
a day of wrath, do ya?
actually.
Well, it's coming right up.
Maybe we should have thought about that before
Really want.
we killed the Pope guy and his bird waifu. Yeah, oh no, everyone's tattoo is scorched. Yeah, we've established that we just won't die until the game is over now.
We know we can.
But yeah, like, there were so many other ways they could have handled that cutscene than the way that they did. The way that they did is stupid.
Let's make a real miracle happen.
Like, this is what I mean, okay, right? Like, the final boss could have just been sitting there
His side.
while we were saying this, and then we fight him, and then he melts, right? But now, we get to deal with this. Here we go. I would love to be past this, but we've got one last thing to do before we're past this. Because it turns out, there's Orphan. Necron called. He wants his out-of-nowhere final boss fight back.
Overreach you.
Is that your epic one-liner that you're going to use as a villain there, Orphan? Is that so?
You gave up on life before you were even born.
That's all you've got?
Poisoning Cocoon from the inside, waiting for someone to come and destroy
Fucking
you.
sorry, is that a giant clock
Sure.
with a head inside of
You
it?
think
Yeah,
the
pretty
end of
much.
the world is salvation.
There's probably 13
All you
faces
care
on it
about is
besides the one in the
death's
middle.
release. So take it, and leave the rest of us alone. We don't think like that. When we think there's no hope left, we keep looking until we find some.
And we pose like dumbasses all the way through.
But it's our home, and we'll protect it or die trying.
Like, again, I wouldn't have a problem with all this postulating if it wasn't for the last 8 to 10 minutes.
That is our focus.
It's fine. It's cheesy anime shit. But if the last 8 to 10 minutes didn't exist, it would feel a lot more warranted. Anyway, it's time for the joke final battle. But unfortunately for all of us, this time, the joke is on me. So, Orphan's gonna get Doom on you. He can't be damaged by anything until you stagger him. He can also get slow on you if you're too close. He can also get Pain and Fog on you whenever he wants. Also, after 70 seconds in battle, he will use a move that resets his entire chain gauge. All of his debuffs, all of your buffs, and if you see that move, you can kiss your 5-star rank goodbye because the target time is so low that not being able to hit him in that time period effectively means that you're screwed. You will not get your S rank, your 5 stars, if you see it. The move is called Temporal Hollow, by the way. I'm having Saz move away from him because I deal more damage and therefore more stagger percent with the strike moves. But also because if Saz moves out of radius, that pulse that he's doing there is the one that inflicts slow. So if Saz is out of range, he can't get slowed, which will make this a lot easier to micromanage, so. Alright, we got him staggered. The fight's over, so. Now all we gotta do is get him launched. But yeah, just get D-Protect and D-Shell. Don't even bother with anything else. Just get those done, and then that's it. Fang, whenever you're ready. I know you're slowed, but if you could launch him, that'd be awesome. Thank you. Oh, he's on the ground again. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Alright, we should have him now, though. Might not even get a 5-star, though, with that performance. Yeah, I didn't think so. The target time is, again, so low on this fight that if you don't get him in, like, 94 seconds, because 9 plus 4 is 13, fuck you, Final Fantasy XIII. You won't get 5 stars on this fight. It's just that tight. But we're done. So that's it. Stage 10 unlocked. Yeah, 2 minutes, 20 seconds? Holy hell, yeah, and they brought Doom back. They were desperate to reuse that. They didn't have to, either. He's just... It doesn't make any sense to me, either. Because for how badly Orphan wants to die, he really does a big job of trying to make it so you can't kill him. Can we put a lid on him now, too, please? Because I don't need to hear all this shit.
We're here to stop him. We've come to save Cocoon, right? Right.
Why are we asking that rhetorical question? Didn't we all sign up for that when we got here? I wonder what the Japanese translation says there, because, like, this game has got a really funky and sometimes really bad English translation. So I wonder if they said something that actually made sense in the Japanese version right there, or if it was very similar. Because that doesn't make any fucking sense. Okay, I'm done bitching. Let's watch the cool final cutscene and ending. Because despite all of the bitching and moaning I've done for the past 15 minutes, this cutscene is actually pretty good. So let's watch it, shall we? Yeah, maybe we should have thought about the fact that we were turning off the sun before we turned off the sun. Whoops. And I guess we also turned off the gravity in the process.
Stay together.
Oops, again.
Hey, grab my hand.
Okay.
Now listen, I ain't singing Kumbaya here. I'll leave that to those two.
Vanille?
You sure about this, kid?
Wishes can come true,
No choice, I guess.
but not if you just wait for miracles. Ready. Miracles are things we make for ourselves. Here and now.
Holy shit, I want to use that move in battle. They just annihilated those adamantulids. Then again, that's why they annihilated those adamantulids. Hecaton Kier digivolved into, well, that's Ragnarok. So, cool. I guess they fused. I don't know how this part works, but it's okay. Let them go off. Let them cook. I'm sure they'll figure it out. Surf and Sarah did, and the stakes were a little worse for them. So this has got to be some kind of spell, right? Because, like, they just jumped into the lava below, but they're still above somehow. I don't know, man. Ragnarok's power is just kind of whatever the cutscene demands, so. Atlas, you might need a little more crystal pillar to crystal pillar that satellite. Okay, there you go. That'll work. Good night, Eden. I would say sweet dreams, but I really hope you have nightmares instead. Well, I guess we won. I mean, we turned to crystal, so that's got to be a good thing, right? I mean, our characters are crystal, but now everyone that's left alive on Cocoon can live on. I think. You know, if they can get down. circumstance because we're not playing 13-2, so nobody has to go through the bullshit of the rest of the trilogy. And that's the game, everybody. Boy, that was a roller coaster at the end, huh? Like, they built up a good amount of goodwill in the final dungeon, in my opinion, because the bosses were challenging, the normal fights were challenging, so it kind of built that up as, no, this is the final area, you got to pull out all the stops. Then they just pulled the rug out from underneath themselves, tripped over their own feet for like 12 minutes while they tortured Fang and Vanille for no goddamn reason. And then they had one of the most beautiful cutscenes that I had ever seen in a video game in 2009 just play out as they saved the whole world. And you get a happy ending out of all of the crazy shit that's happened here. So I don't know. I ping pong, right? Like, I ping pong back and forth on that one, from going from incredibly pissed off to, wow, that was really good, you know? I go forward and then back and forward again on it, but I don't know. I guess it balances out for me by the end, but, like, I just don't know, man. Anyway, yeah, that's the game, everybody. Final Fantasy XIII is a video game. I'm kind of glad that I came back to play it, though. Like, I haven't played it in, like I said, about 11 years, and my memories of it were hazy, but I was kind of like, yeah, I mean, I remember it being okay. Like, I remember it being not my favorite, but I remember there being some good moments and some bad moments. By the way, that song there, My Hands by Leona Lewis, is the reason why I had to be slightly quieter in the ending cutscene, because that whole thing is probably getting muted as a part of the copyrighted song that's there. So, but yeah, no, I'm kind of glad that I came back to play it, because it allowed me to kind of really dig into it deeply and appreciate the parts of it that I found appreciable, and also just rail on the parts that were really stupid. I think overall, my opinion of, yeah, I remember it being okay, was sound. But I think it's less because it was just like tapioca, you know what I mean? I think it's less because it was just even keel throughout the entire thing. I think it's more because of the fact that over the course of the whole game, it went up and down and up and down, peaks and valleys, but not to the point that Stormblood was peaks and valleys for me, because Stormblood, the valleys were worse than the peaks. Here, it's about even. It's like a sine curve. It goes up, it goes down, and then it goes up and down, and it all kind of ends up averaging out for me. I don't agree with the normal criticisms that everyone has for this game. I don't agree with the idea that it is more linear. It is simply more backloaded with its side quests. I don't agree with the fact that the game plays itself. You can fix that in the options menu. So anyone that says that has not played this video game and really dug into it on its own terms, because there is so much more that you can dig into and really criticize the game for. There are several moments in the story where you could have had cutscene payoff for all of the tension that it built up, and it just does nothing with it. Here's an example. Chapter 7. Hope doesn't get his Eidolon, despite the fact that he's struggling with his own thought process of, should I kill Snow or should I not? The Eidolons don't seem to have consistency with when they come up as a result of many of the cutscenes that they play here, because they show up when they're needed to, but there's no, like, exactness to it. You know what I mean? Fang undermines herself in the final cutscene because she's been the older sister figure for Vanille for the entire game, and then she says, no, I'm going to look out for myself and choose salvation by killing the only family I've had for the past 400-something years. Doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, there's just enough moments in the game's cutscenes where you can say, no, this is stupid, and they're just doing this for either marketing or in order to create tension or hype in the cutscene that only really works if you don't question a single goddamn thing about it. And I mean, I guess in a way that works a little bit for the first 9 or 10 chapters of the game when the game is on rails and you don't really have time to question anything, because if you question, you get caught, right? Like, you're on the run from the law, and the law is everywhere. So if you stop for even a minute, you're caught, you're cooked, you're going to jail, and you're not completing your focus. which you need to do in order to save the world, as far as we're aware, or destroy it, whatever the case might be. The point is, you're going to jail and you're turning into a zombie. But then the game slows down in Chapter 11, and any questions that the player had from the first 10 chapters where they said, okay, I'll think about that later when I have time, those questions kind of resurface. They linger and they resurface, and then they say, okay, well, maybe the data log will be able to tell me the things that I couldn't understand. But that's not the purpose of the data log, right? Like, the data log should serve in a story like this where you have to be running constantly or else you will get caught. That story can work, but if you create any situations where the player might not understand what's going on, they're going to question, they're going to wonder, but then they're going to say, I'll think about it later. The data log will tell me what I need to know. But the data log doesn't do that. It should provide supplemental information for any questions in order to allow the player to discover the world on their own terms, because they can't discover it while the characters are trying to not get put in jail and turned into zombies. But once the game slows down and you find out that the data log doesn't really provide supplemental information, it more provides a rehashing of what you already know from the cutscenes. It just sort of undermines the whole data log, honestly, and it makes the world feel a little more hollow. It doesn't feel like a fully fleshed out and realized world. It feels like a world where they created the surface and there's just a hole in the middle. And you look at the hole and you say, well, I'd like to think about that, but I don't have time to think about that. But then as soon as you have time to think about it, it's like, okay, what's the purpose of this hole, game developers, that you created in your world and didn't fill in? And they'll say, don't question the hole. Just look at the surface. You see how shiny that is? You see how high fidelity and new that is? Don't question it. Just consume the surface, and you'll be fine. And we all know how I feel about don't question, just consume. It's stupid. It means that you did not fully realize the world that you created. But honestly, thinking about it, I feel like that's a pretty common thing to say about a lot of the stuff that Square Enix was doing with Final Fantasy around this time. This was a tumultuous time for a lot of video games and RPGs because companies got this weird, stupid, toxic thought in their head that traditional RPGs couldn't work anymore, and they had to innovate to the maximum. Like, all the innovation and obtuse battle systems they created in the 2000s in order to make RPGs differentiate from each other, they took that to 11 in 2009. And they said, how do we want to pull this series away from the classic era and into the modern era? Case in point, you don't hear the prologue or the main theme of Final Fantasy ever in Final Fantasy XIII. It's the first game in the series where that's the case. So they're dragging Final Fantasy into the modern era kicking and screaming. But did they know what they wanted to do with it? That's the question that I pose. And the answer, I think, the way that I see it, is they had a few thoughts, but they didn't know how to fully realize it. And as a result of that, I feel like I can only say this game was all right. It's got a cool battle system, but they never really let you take advantage of it until really late in the game. They're so concerned with you understanding how it works that they don't really let you play with it until 25 hours in. It's got a story that has some intrigue, but a lot of the intrigue is very surface level and doesn't really dig into the main themes of the game and the exploration of the world that they build up. It's got interesting characters that all sort of end up acting like cheesy anime heroes by the end because their character development ends 9 or 10 chapters in, and after that they're just kind of being strung along in order to finish up their focus. At least it's got great music. Masashi Hamauzu did a really sweet job on the soundtrack. It's varied with a lot of technological beats that are interstrung with other things. Like the music, the soundtrack, I'm not worried about, right? Like Nobuo Uematsu didn't touch this project at all. But he left the company in good hands with Hamauzu, with Shimomura, with, I forget the guy's name that did the Final Fantasy XII soundtrack. I also forget the guy's name that did the Nier soundtrack. But the four of them working at Square Enix, yeah, no, that company's in good hands for music. Like, you got nothing to worry about. But yeah, the rest of the game, I'm just going to say it was all right. There's good and there's bad, and it all kind of just balances out for me. It never really It achieves high highs and low lows. And the average of the high highs and the low lows is the middle of the road for me. I don't know if this is the middle of the road for me in the entire franchise. I think there's another game there that will probably piss off a lot of people when we get there, because it's also the one that I'm thinking of is a lot of people's favorite game in the series, but we don't have to open that can of worms for right now. The only thing I have to ask now is, once again, how did the jeweler that made Snow's necklace know? Because, sorry for saying this, but the logo of this video game that we see on the title screen every time we boot this game up, it spoils the ending. You wouldn't know that until just now, but it does. It spoils the ending, so that's great, I guess. Don't think they've ever done that. They've spoiled major scenes in the video game, but usually not to that extreme, you know what I mean, with other logos in the series. But anyway, yeah, that's about it. They really did just play the cutscene with Light punching the shit out of Snow twice in 10 minutes. Yeah, like I said, the back half of the game is kind of light on a lot of cutscenes. Like, the cutscene quality takes a noticeable dip in Chapter 11 when you get to Pulse, to the point where, in my opinion, it's kind of like, wow, they really regressed back to Final Fantasy X, didn't they? And they could have done that, because the development team that made this game also made Final Fantasy X. Did they learn from all of their mistakes from Final Fantasy X? Well, now that I've played 10 for myself a little while ago, I can say, excuse me, I can say that they learned from a few of them. I don't know if they learned from all of them, though. And that concerns me, because it means that they will continue to make those mistakes going forward. Case in point, Final Fantasy XIII too, which, honestly, at the end of this game, I can think of a way that they can make a sequel at this point, right? Like, the way that they did it was just, in order to make a sequel after this, they retconned the ending of 13.1. Lightning falls down a fucking hole in the dimension in order to create the scenario that creates Final Fantasy 13-2. You only learn about that either near the end of Final Fantasy 13-2 or in a novel that was written by a completely separate author from the authors of this game. I can think of a way you don't have to do something as stupid as retconning your ending. The ending is fine. It gives everybody a happy ending. But here's the problem, right? The people of Cocoon have been coddled. They don't know how to live their lives. And now they're living in a hostile world. Pulse is full of dinosaurs and wolves with teeth the size of my arm. How are these people going to survive? So, do something that's like Dark Cloud styled. You know what I mean? Let the characters from the first game try to figure that out. You could do like little bits of town sim stuff where you have to build up the town's defenses in order to prevent Pulsean dinosaurs from murdering everybody. And try to figure out, okay, how do we all make it in this world? The mana drives can be used for magic. They can re-implement the paradigm system with the mana drives. I could think of a way to do it. You can equip people with mana drive paradigms, right? Like, okay, so Vanille, like maybe at the beginning of the game, like Vanille can only, okay, Vanille's not in the party, so we would need 2 other characters in order for this to work. But like in the beginning of the game, maybe the characters only resonate with mana drives that worked for the paradigms that they had. You know, like, okay, so Snow only resonates with Commando, Ravager, and Sentinel mana drives in the beginning of the game, because that was what he did in the first game. But as you go further in the game, you can eventually get enough mana drives for paradigms to equip everybody with everything. Like, you can manipulate the system somewhat, because they do have a method of using magic without having to use l'Cie branding and all that other bullshit. And the l'Cie and Pulse are still around, but they can be used for that too, right? Maybe the story revolves around them saying, okay, well, we'd like to find a way to get Vanille and Fang back. And maybe the Pulse Fal'Cie, did I say l'Cie? I meant Fal'Cie. Maybe the Pulse Fal'Cie are like, well, you could talk to the maker about this. And, you know, if you do open that gate, can you, like, let us know? Because we'd really like to see our parents again. We haven't seen them in hundreds, if not thousands of years at this point. Okay, fair enough. Go find the way to get to the Maker's Realm. Go talk to Etro and Lindsay and Pulse. Fight through things with the mana drives as your magic along the way, and then bring Vanille and Fang back out of the Crystal Pillar while keeping it there at the end of the game. Bam, boom, the Pulse Fal'Cie get to see their parents again. Everybody gets a happy ending. Done. There's Final Fantasy 13-2. I just made that for you. Instead, you chose to retcon the ending and create a whole bunch of stupid shit scenarios by trying to rekindle the lightning in a bottle that you had when you made Chrono Trigger in 1996. There's a reason why no one has made a video game with as good of time travel as Chrono Trigger had. And that's because of the fact that Chrono Trigger was a one and done. It got a sequel, but we'll talk about that when we get there. It was not a sequel that followed in the footsteps of Chrono Trigger easily. It struggled with that, and it came out a worse game for it. You don't have to do Chrono Trigger again, guys. You obviously can't repeat the lightning in a bottle, so stop trying. Oh, my controller died. Not died, but turned off. Okay, well, I was going to click X and, just end on that note, but yeah, no, Final Fantasy 13's fine. It was all right. It's highs and lows, and it all balances out for me. I'm desperately trying to keep my review in a controlled environment with it, though, right? Because I don't want the presence of Final Fantasy 13-2 in my mind to affect the rating of this one. I already kind of let that happen with Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, but that's because Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu was made with a very specific purpose, and the purpose was to draw people in to the main series so they could sell them Pokemon Sword and Shield, which ended up being a worse product. I don't think they intended for 13.2 to even happen when 13.1 was created, but then they realized that the rest of the Fabula Nova Crystallis series wasn't going to really pan out, and they had to do something with all of the development stuff that they had for this world that they built up. So then they said, well, let's just make a trilogy. Yeah, but the ending of 13.1 ended on a pretty high note. Are you sure you want to do that? And then they said, yeah, just drop it. We'll drop a light novel in Japanese only that basically undermines the whole thing. It'll be fine. It was not fine. It was shit. Square Enix didn't know what the fuck they wanted from Final Fantasy because the people at the top were out of touch as fuck. Case in point, Final Fantasy 15. They wanted to modernize Final Fantasy, but it wasn't necessary. Right. And they learned that lesson too late, right? Because when did Bravely Default come out? Bravely Default came out in I want to say 2014 or something like that, after Final Fantasy 15 it hadn't been gold lit yet, but it was already well deep into its development cycle, even though it was in development hell. And then everybody loved Bravely Default because it was old turn-based RPG stuff. And it turns out people still wanted that because it wasn't available. So, yeah, 13 or 14, 3DS era. The turn-based RPG system was fine. You know what I mean? People still wanted it. It was a niche in the community of RPGs that people were still craving. So you didn't have to do all this. That being said, I don't want to shit on Final Fantasy 15 too much. Because, hot take, I actually like Final Fantasy 15 a lot. It's in my top 5 in the entire series. If you want to know why, well, you're going to have to wait to find out, because Jesus Christ, do we have so many more Final Fantasy games to go through. My plan of action from here, I got to play Final Fantasy 2 again as the next Final Fantasy we play for the channel, because I've been putting that project off for too long, and there have been enough people already that are like, no, you need to play that. I need to see what an expert playthrough of Final Fantasy 2 looks like, and I need to oblige that. It's just, I've waited too long as it is, so we got to go back to it. I wanted to finish Final Fantasy 14 before I did any of the other parts of the series, though, so that was why I haven't really touched the series at all, other than 1 and 14 up until now. So we're going to start the next Final Fantasy game that we play is going to be 2. After that, I'm thinking I'm going to go in ascending order for the series with the games that I don't enjoy as much. And then we'll go in descending order in the series for the games I do enjoy. So we'll go in ascending order, and then eventually we'll come out the other side and we'll be at 15. So 15 will start the descending order where it's the games that I enjoy. And then we'll end on 5, because 5 is my favorite Final Fantasy game. So I don't want to tell you how everything else hashes out there, because I think it was pretty obvious from what I've said previously that 5 is my favorite, but We'll manage it as we go. It's going to be a long set of projects, though, and I'm not going to be doing them all back to back or anything like that. So, but that's okay, because we'll get to it. That's the whole point. Didn't play it, you abstained from giving an opinion. Not to worry, we will play it. And there's actually a lot of well, maybe not a lot of technical stuff you can do with 15. Its battle system is definitely not as simple as everybody makes it out to be, though. It's, honestly, in a way, it kind of reminds me of this game, because everybody discounts the battle system in this game as, oh, it plays itself with auto battle. Everybody says in 15 you can hold R1 to win. Not really in either of those cases. And if you do that, you're kind of doing it to yourself, you know? Yeah, Final Fantasy V represent. We gotta. There's dozens of us. And that's it. So if we don't scream loud enough, nobody will hear us. Auto battle is suboptimal as fuck. Oh my god. Every time I clicked it, because I was like, I'm feeling lazy right now, I instantly regretted it across this whole playthrough. I don't know how anybody could play the whole game like that. Like, I'd go insane. Anyway, I think I'm done. I'm ready to be done. Because this is the end of Final Fantasy XIII, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Final Fantasy XIII, the Stream Edition. We will not be playing Final Fantasy XIII 2 or Lightning Returns. Because if I played those side games, I'd have to play all the rest, and the idea of playing the After Years makes me want to vomit. So no thank you. I will not undermine the happy ending that we just got. Either way, thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate you coming out to Twitch and YouTube to check out the stream. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed this project. I had my fun with it. I got to make my complaints about it, but I'm ready to be done with it. And we'll put the schedule up on Twitch, YouTube, and Discord shortly after I get the description done for this one, and we'll be starting a new game as soon as tomorrow. And I get the feeling the next project is going to make me angry, but I'm not 100% sure yet. It's a blind project, but I mean, it's right in the name, so like, it wouldn't lie to me, right? We'll find out. Until I see you then, or wherever I see you next around the internet, I hope that you'll take care and have a good one. Whew. Really dodged a bullet with not playing 13-2 there. We could have had Quinfucius in the party, but it's not worth it. I'm sorry, Quinfucius. It's really not.